Like, I didn't anticipate him. I mean, I follow him on social media. I see him. A lot of times you see someone out of social media and they're not necessarily as charming and as good looking as they come across in social media. He is more. And I can't imagine. I mean, he's very respectful to my husband and his wife. But like, I'm sure people walk into his vet clinic and they're like, save me, Jesus.
Hey, is the dog sick?
Exactly.
You sure?
Your dog is sure sick a lot.
Right.
Amanda.
For sure.
Well, it's like, stop. What's it called when you make your kids sick all the time because you want attention?
You're joking about that though, but I wonder how many rich like Beverly Hills ladies go in to see him just because they can.
I wonder. Well, he's in San Diego full time, right? Like that's I think where his
Uber.
Yeah. They're like, your dog sure travels a long way.
We have a vet that's 5 minutes away. We're going to San Diego,
We're going
Marge.
to San Diego. They treat the dogs so much better there. Haven't you seen them?
We have to.
We have to.
Blah, blah, blah. With Katee Sackhoff.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Blah, Blah, Blah. I am Katee Sackhoff, and this is Blah, Blah, Blah with Katee. Obviously, you guys. And I'm also, this is in hindsight with Quan Stewart. So who is with me?
Not Quan Stewart. Me.
Christian Harloff.
That's right. I'm excited to talk about this one too because you I think mentioned how you were going to have Quan on for a while, but then we really started to put it in motion on the way, the 4-hour drive to San Diego because of the traffic to the live show. But he called and kind of confirmed, and then we announced it on stage that day. So It was kind of like a very kind of hyped up show. And then it was one of the episodes that we shot that we thought we were still going to air even during the strike because
he's not an actor.
Not an actor. But then it just didn't work out that way. But I'm so glad we got it out now.
Well, and the main reason it didn't work out that way, you guys, if you haven't listened to last week's episode with Dr. Quan Stewart, I highly suggest you do it. We touch on so many phenomenal things. We're just going to literally give you the Cliff's Notes version today. But one of the reasons it didn't work out was because we talk multiple times about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Not only that, Richard came afterwards, who is helping him build the Doggy Depot food bank, basically. Richard was a massive fan of not only bo-katan, but Bitch Puddin'. And I met him afterwards.
Named his dog.
He named his dog Bitch Puddin', and he didn't know
that you were.
I was Bitch Puddin'.
I think we actually have it on video.
We do.
Where he makes the discovery. It's amazing. But that whole interview was really fascinating. And it was one of the things that you and I had spoken about when we were thinking about guests that we could have before we had a guest. And we were like, we want to get interesting people like this to really hear stories. And his stories were just fascinating and opened up perspectives of that world that I never even imagined. Like when he was talking about the high rate of like suicide with vets. And it makes so much sense. When at first you go, really? Well, you're hanging out with dogs all the time. You animals, that should be the happiest thing in the world. And you're like, well, wait a minute. You're spending, like what he said that really put it into perspective for me was, you'll walk in and here's this new puppy and you're playing with the puppy and all that. And then you walk into the next room and here's a dog who's on his last leg and he's.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, because we've been through those emotions. Yeah. He's doing it right after the next. We have years. Yeah. He's going from one to the next.
Yeah. And the thing that is also horrible is that you are oftentimes putting down dogs that are completely healthy.
Right.
And because of overcrowding or because the owner can't afford a surgery or for whatever reason. And so, he explained it really well. So I wrote this down. There's some statistics I wanted to actually touch on. So males and females in veterinary medicine, males are 1.6 times more likely than a general population person to take their own life. And females are almost 4% more likely to take their life if they're a veterinarian. And they make up 80% of veterinarians. Oof. So, and one of the things that, and it's right after, it's doctors, dentists, cops, veterinarians. Yeah. And he said that it's the number one, that veterinarians have the number one suicide rate in the care profession. And I had to look that up because I misquoted it. I was talking to my sister-in-law who is a nurse, and I said number one. And she went, oh, I thought it was doctors. And she said, more than physicians? And I said, yeah, it's not. It's out of care professionals, which a care professional is somebody who devotes their life in the service of others, not necessarily for pay. And so that to me was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And the way he explained it was that you take someone who as a child has all of these wonderful, beautiful ideas about caring for animals, and they are truly empathetic. It's like some of the most empathetic people because they're going into the service of an animal.
Sure.
And that same animal is one that they will eventually potentially have to put down.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart for him, for all the vets in the world, not to mention the fact that we're also short veterinarians. There are only 60,000 veterinarians in the United States.
Yeah.
During COVID, one of the things we talked about was how people couldn't get veterinary care because vets were burnt out. They were quitting. They were because it's such a, at times, thankless job.
Yeah. Which is, I know, and it all made sense to hear him talk about it. But when you're not thinking about it, you have this kind of, like anything else, romanticized idea of what it is to be a vet. Like, I'll be honest, and I know, and he said not to do this, but when my youngest goes, I want to be a vet when I'm older, I'm like, after hearing him, it's like, he does a lot of great stuff. But after hearing all this stuff, I'm like, I don't know. And and I know that if he was sitting there, he would say, no, don't feel that way because we need more vets, everything too. But like, it was just, it's not that romanticized idea that you have, like, again, when you're 5 or 6 years old, you know?
No, but one of the things that he talked about was having tools. And this is one of the things about his episode that I loved so much is that, you know, suicide is such a universal issue, not only in the United States, but in every country. And for a lot of different reasons, but everybody can identify with the majority of the reasons why people take their own life.
Right.
We can identify with those stressors, those things, and the tools that he talked about, you know, like he is one of the most emotionally open people that we've had on.
Yeah, easily.
He shed a tear.
Yeah.
That is right there. One of the best things you can do for your mental health is talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
And he did it.
He did it throughout the conversation, but he's clearly done it throughout his career. He's done it in ways that when he talked about his background and, you know, his family and how he was able to kind of the way that he transitioned into becoming a vet, the things that what he did, the way that you can just tell he's a really kind human being, and that not telling anyone what he was doing when he drove off to go see, you know, the homeless people with their dogs so he could help and he could do these things. It's like, man, he just makes you want to be a better person.
He does. Yeah. He does. When I was researching some statistics for our hindsight episode with him, one of the things that actually made me increasingly sad for vets was that 1 in 5 veterinarians have been cyberbullied.
Is that true? Because
people are angry at the vet for either not being able to treat their pet, for not giving them free care. So there are a lot of, and this is one of the things that people talked about, there are a lot of pet owners who believe that pet care should be altruistic and that in some way free because your cat is hurt, that this person should give you free care. And I understand the desire to want, because they are our family, they are our children to a certain extent. And you want this person to want to save your animal as much as you do. And they do want to save that animal, but they also have to pay for it.
Look, I think all healthcare should be free. All healthcare should be free for especially for humans first. And I love animals. Humans first, and then animals as well. All healthcare should be free. It's not that easy. It's a bigger conversation, everything too. But I understand the frustration of it when you're like, here's this thing you love. I don't have the, because look, my dog, you remember Taz, at the time I didn't have the money that at the time when he should have been seen for the problem that he had. My normal vet, I remember going, I can't go to my vet because I don't have that in my account right now. I just don't. So I took him to this place that I still think didn't look at him the right way. And I think, and I beat myself up about it every day. So I understand where people get upset but it's not my vet's fault.
Right.
At that point. You know what I mean? It sucks, but it's not my vet's fault.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember, and I've always, it's from the moment I moved away from home, I have had the luxury to always work.
Yeah.
But I remember when I didn't have the money and my dog, fucking meatball.
Yeah.
He ate Staples. What?
Your dogs eat the weirdest shit.
Why?
Yeah.
Why eat Staples? And
Yeah.
it was attached to fabric. And I think what happened was, like, those fabric pieces that they put on the bottom of chairs, like the fabric swatch? I'm wondering if the fabric swatch got like food or something on it, like under the couch. He fucking ate it, ate the Staples. Then they had to cut him open from literally like tip to bottom,
Poor bastard.
open his stomach, take the Staples out, and then ironically staple him back together with 20 staples.
Right.
This surgery was
Did they
like
use those
$11,000.
Wow. What?
It was so expensive because it was also emergency. And it was, God, it was expensive.
Yeah.
I did not have this money. I put it on a credit card.
Yeah.
And I was paying that off forever.
Right.
But and that's the decision I made, and I'm glad I made it. But I don't know if I could have made that decision if I had children at home.
Right. Right. Right.
If I had to choose, there's a luxury to being able to take care of your dogs to the extent that
It's the truth.
We had the same situation with my grandmother. We just couldn't afford the surgery, so
Well, listen.
we put her down.
I mean, you drew the short straw, lady.
See, from dog death to joking about our grandma pulling the plug.
Yeah.
But no, even my dog now gets himself into shit, and I don't know what he was doing. He's eating something in the back, and he was the shits for like 4 days. But either way, it was great to hear him talk about all this different stuff, though, because I liked being in that world. I liked being in that world and listen, because a lot of times, as we've talked about, we've had a lot of actors on, a lot of directors or producers and things of that nature. But I really liked being in that world. It was new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He has such a desire to help people.
Yeah.
It's so infectious.
Yeah.
Like he sees the best in everyone. He truly does.
I liked how much of a fan he was of yours too. But he was able to, you could tell he was like an actual, like, he's a big Star Wars guy, and you could tell that he was a fan, and the fact that he was his excitement, he wanted it to come up here, but you could tell that he was bringing it here to be a pro, but it was cool to see.
He's super charming. Like
Yeah.
when I walked in the
rock
room,
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just like, I went home and I told my husband, I was like, he was like I didn't anticipate him. I mean, I follow him on social media. I see him. A lot of times you see someone out of social media and they're not necessarily as charming and as good looking as they come across in social media. He is more. And I can't imagine. I mean, he's very respectful to my husband and his wife, but like, I'm sure people walk into his vet clinic and they're like, save me, Jesus.
Hey, is the dog sick?
Exactly.
You sure?
Your dog is sure sick a lot.
Right.
Amanda.
For sure.
Well, it's like, stop. What's it called when you make your kids sick all the time because you want attention?
You're joking about that though, but I wonder how many rich, like, Beverly Hills ladies go in to see him just because they can.
I wonder. Well, he's in San Diego full time, right? Like that's I think
Take
where
an
his
Uber.
Yeah. They're like, your dog sure travels a long way.
We have a vet 5 minutes away. We're going to San Diego,
We're going
Marge.
to San Diego. They treat the dogs so much better there. Haven't you seen him?
We have to.
We have to. He was wonderful. I love what he talks about and like how he talks about how the emotion and the dopamine release you get from just petting an animal.
Yeah,
I
that
do
was cool.
believe that having animals is so good for your mental health.
Oh, easily. Like, even the other day, there was a pure chaos going on in my house with I've got a 6-year-old girl. I have a 12-year-old who might as well be 15. I have
Girls
a
these days.
wife. What was that time? And they were all, it was like.
So the 12-year-old's like, shit's
Getting
coming,
close.
by the way. It's
It was
coming.
getting close.
How are you going to be when you have a daughter who's like a woman?
I'm going to be in here. With the door locked.
And they're going to live in a
my
different
dog.
state.
Because the point was that as all that chaos was happening, I'm like, dude. And my dog's name is the dude. And he comes running in and he just jumps in my arms. I'm like, oh, thank God. And it just felt, it was like all this chaos is going on. And then just little ball of stink is just there. And he's just making me feel so good.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
You want to know what else I think is really funny? During Kwan's episode,
This.
the leaf blower started. So I think it's completely fitting that it's here again,
Yeah, she's
that
got
it's back.
things to say.
It wants to talk.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the usefulness of animals, of dogs, because my dogs are useless. I have a Yorkie who is the dumbest,
Yeah.
stupid dog I've ever met in my entire life. He is so dumb, you guys. He would see the car coming
Run right
and
into it.
roll
Yeah.
over on its back because he thought they were coming to love
Right.
him. Like, he's so stupid. And then I have a Chihuahua who's so smart that he won't do anything.
Yeah.
He's like, no,
Like a cat almost.
I'm gonna sit here because you come to me.
Yeah.
You come to me. He's so smart. He's like a wise guy. We moved into the country. I say it's the country. It's not the country. We
Right.
live in the middle of a city, but we have some property now, and we have an acre. And they're fucking catching mice.
Really?
These two little dogs. There was a mouse in the house,
It's like Lenny and Sam
and who were Lenny and Sam?
from Mice and Men.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Since 5th grade.
Yeah.
So Happy, one of the mouse was like downstairs, and Robin was like, are you going to let him go catch it? And I was like, absolutely not. These dogs do not catch wild game.
Yeah.
No. As soon as I saw that mouse, and as soon as he saw that mouse, I was cheering for him to get that. I was like, get it, Happy! Get it! Yeah! And then
Proud mom.
he got it,
Yeah. What did he do?
crunched it, and let it go.
Oh.
He didn't make a mess. He just stared at it until it died. And I was like, wow, he's evil. But Vargas watched him do this, did not lift a finger.
Vargas is the
Vargas
dumb
is
one.
the Chihuahua.
Oh,
He's the
okay.
smart
The
one.
smart
That
one,
was the
okay.
dumb one.
Okay, the dumb one.
Who's
Right,
like
so
a terrier.
Like
He's-
Lenny.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
he is a Yorkie Terrier, happy mix. So I guess it came out of him. He was like terrier, went after it. Then, but Vargas sat there like, I can't be bothered, dirty. But then the next day we were outside and Vargas and Happy are going crazy at these bushes. Okay. Freaking crazy. I see a mouse come out. I was like, oh my God, now they're mouse hunting.
Yeah.
They didn't catch the mouse, but Vargas caught a shrew.
Really?
A shrew. He dug it out of its hole, threw it out by its tail, bit it, and watched it die. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you got like Dexter living over there.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you though, who's not happy right now?
Who?
These mice. They were living fine. They probably, the last people that lived there probably didn't have dogs or whatever
didn't.
it was. Nope. So
They
didn't have
didn't.
dogs.
They had 3 children. That house was spotless.
And so their whole world was fine. And then you got these 2
were.
dogs coming in and they're just like, you know what? Where's that vet?
They honestly, I think that we thought we were going to need a cat,
Yeah.
like to get rid. Nope.
Nope. You got
Nope.
These 2. Well,
They finally started to pull their own weight.
Yeah.
But now I won't let them kiss me
yeah.
because that's
Rat
gross.
breath.
Mouse breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cute little mice. I feel so bad. I can't watch them die. I literally have to turn away.
Except when you're cheering.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy they're like,
Right.
and, look, pulling their
this
own
is
weight.
the way that I feel about this too, because outside in certain places, like I don't mess with like spiders. I don't mess with these things. I don't. It's where they live. I let them.
Yeah.
You come into my house.
You come in my
I'm
house.
going to give you a warning. Like with spiders, I go, okay, out you go, and
Mm-hmm.
then with spiders, don't know, they just freeze. But you go out,
Out you
fine.
go.
Don't come back in. If I know what you look like, you come back in, it's over. Flies?
Yeah.
Because flies, it's like you open the door and fly right in your face.
They're there,
Because-
but they also have a really short attention, like lifespan. I found this.
Yeah, they do.
This fly killer thing
Yeah.
when I had the chickens. I didn't kill the chickens. I gave them to my neighbor because they had the Merrick's. Everyone
yeah.
knows my chickens had Merrick's disease. I couldn't take them to Oregon. So my neighbor kept them, and they're flourishing with her because she lets them they're like wild in her yard. Anyway, so the chickens are alive and flourishing, but I got these things off Amazon.
The chickens?
No, I'm sure you could.
You probably
No,
can get anything on
these fly things.
Yeah.
They're crazy, man.
Oh.
You add a little water to them,
yeah.
and it's like this poison that
Yeah.
sits in. You can't put them in your house. You got to have them outside.
I think we have one of them. They stink, though.
But everyone says they stink. Not worse than chickens.
No, that's true. No,
So you got to just put them in a place where,
like-
not next to the house.
It's got like a fishy smell. We had them.
Does it?
They
Oh, my
wipe.
God.
Oh, they wipe them out.
Oh,
they
wipe 'em
them
out.
Like we've got yeah, and we'll actually talk about it. Which is pretty funny because we took the trap off for our episode that we recorded that will air next week, and I have a very funny story about that. We'll tell it on the hindsight next week.
Okay. There's got to be more to tell. I mean, and now we got completely distracted.
Yeah.
But I actually talked with Quan. I texted him this morning because I
Oh.
asked him how the food bank went.
Yeah.
So it was called the Dog Food Pantry. They were taking it down to Skid Row and they were going to stock it with food for unhoused people and their pets. He said that they had a bit of a snag with it.
What was it?
Because street cleaning came and they took it.
Oh, wow.
So they took it, and so they're going to actually rebuild it and relocate it to a place like over where like the showers and the things like that are. I think that's what my understanding was. So the idea is still there, but it was just the city didn't participate, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's tough. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and he talked about that kind of stuff, right? Like you've got to you can't expect everybody to just kind of jump onto the mission that you're doing. You got to believe in your mission. You got to do your own thing. And I thought that was pretty interesting. He was talking about that and just the story he told about, it was Richard, the fact that how many people he's been able to like help out, and he's been able, like, it goes back into what we were initially talking about with, like, you can tell someone's heart through the profession in general, and then the extension of the profession that just carries out these stuff that he's not even getting paid to do.
Yeah. The fact that he loaded up a backpack with, like he said, 80% of the things that he treats are treated with topicals or a steroid injection or something along those lines, or an allergy injection. But he filled a backpack with pretty basic medication that we take for granted for our pets because, they just get a monthly flea thing or whatever, and he just walks. He walks and treats people's pets. It is such a wonderful thing.
It is.
Yeah. And it brings him peace to his heart, it seems, in like a profession that is, that puts him so at risk for suicide.
I was super happy to have him on the show, and hopefully we can get him on again. And his book was a big thing as well.
His book is really wonderful. It's, I think that everyone should read the book.
Yeah.
It's not what you expect it to be.
Right.
And that's what I loved. And that one quote that and we talk about it on the show, it still gets me. The fact that he said that he couldn't help but feel like God was keeping score and that the tables were flipped in the wrong direction. That was awful.
Yeah.
That's a horrible, horrible way to sort of like think about it if you are a person who has faith and believes in sort of like, what's next and things like that, to think that there is, you're trying to live your life as good as you can and be a really good person, but you're going to work and you're taking the lives of countless animals every day. I could imagine that would absolutely weigh on you.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, it leads into the stat that we were talking about in general, but I'm glad that we did it. I'm glad that we did the episode, and I'm glad that people got a chance to see it.
It was wonderful. And I hope to sort of, see him more and have him on again, and because he's such a wealth of knowledge and hope and joy, and he's just a really interesting person to listen to and talk to.
Next week is a big switch.
Next week is a massive switch. Next week's episode is like the reason I started taking ADHD medication.
You know what's funny about this one too is very similar to this week, is that both of these guests were like our first few episodes and a few other were personal connections that you had, personal people that you've worked with. These back to back are not.
No, and you know, I've sort of started to realize like how my personality shifts with the person I'm interviewing.
Sure.
I don't know if that's a normal occurrence or if I just get, as I do this more, I will settle more like into who I am. But AJ McLean's energy is through the roof. And I take mine to him. So,
Yeah, and he breaks our record.
he,
It's our longest episode.
I mean, we talk about everything. We talk about everything. We talk about facelifts and Botox and tattoos and drugs and
Everything.
I mean, we talked about children and marriage and Backstreet Boys. And I mean, like, we literally talked about everything and fast.
Real fast. And it was it's a longer episode, and it was the idea that here's someone who, again, was a fan of yours, reached out to you, we were able to get him in here, and he was about as open as you're going to get, because you and I always have those conversations beforehand of like, well, we'll always ask somebody what they're comfortable with. He's like, open book. And he was. And so I'm excited for people to see that, but I'm also able to subscribe to this channel, man.
Yes. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on, you can listen to us on Apple and Spotify and every place where you find podcasts. There's, you can find us on YouTube, and we have so many fun ways to listen to the show and be a part of this community now. So I encourage you to do that. And
next week's episode with AJ is our last interview in this studio. It's not our last time in this studio, it's our last interview in this studio.
It is. We'll be back here for the In Hindsight episodes, because we can like sweat for 30 minutes or whatever, deal with weed blowers.
For the time being.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a pleasure to talk to you about this, and I look forward to doing it with AJ next week.
Absolutely. So you guys go check out Dr. Quan Stewart. He's absolutely amazing. You can follow him on social media and just like learn more about what he's doing. Really, really, really loved that episode. So, and also take care of your mental health. Reach out to your friends that you think are okay, and you matter. So welcome, or thank you for coming to BBB with Katee. And we will see you next week with AJ McLean. Bye.